Hello Internet, thank you for watching this video. This is Marko Yamashita. Tonight, we're going to ask the question, what is a lie? Webster's dictionary defines it as to make an untrue statement with intent to deceive or to create a false or misleading impression. Over the past few weeks, VTuber Lidia Nekozawa discussed in her news segment the buyback and subsequent cancellation of treasury stock purchased through the buyback program by Nijisanji's parent company, Anycolor Inc. Her statements were, and still are, extremely misleading with the intent to mislead the viewer, that means you, into a subsequent conspiracy that Anycolor is a black company. To understand this deception, we need to look back at the facts and the mechanics behind why you have been misled by Ms. Nekozawa regarding the stock repurchase and cancellation, and then what the actual truth of the matter really is. At first, Ms. Nekozawa called these documents a receipt, and then said, I don't know.
So this is essentially saying, I don't know, I guess like a receipt saying like, yeah, we did it. This is the stock buyback, okay?
Now, in fact, the document that you see in front of you and all the other documents like it are in fact disclosure memos publicly detailing business decisions to maintain transparency with their interested parties. These are issued in order to prevent corporate fraud. They're not just an itemized receipt saying, yeah, we done it, like she attempted to explain it as. Now, second, any business that has issued public shares of their company have a set limit. In the US and Japan, the maximum number of shares that a business can legally permit to issue is dictated by what's referred to as their articles of incorporation. You will see which section is relevant based upon like the subtitle line of each document, like you see here. This rule may also be specified in a company's charter or mandated by the government's corporate law. This number does not change until a vote has occurred to change the set number of stock available for public investing. This is why virtually all the important information disclosed like this is put in public when these numbers change. The cancellation or retiring of treasury stock is just one decision out of several a company can do when there is an excess amount of untraded shares on the market. While these shares are officially removed from circulation, it's important to note that companies don't issue the entire amount of the total shares for public consumption to begin with. Most companies, in fact, only issue a certain percentage, which varies by the management or the company, to avoid an immediate hostile takeover after going public, or the balance of power changing hands because an outside entity suddenly becomes the majority shareholder. Businesses make these types of decisions all the time, preying on your limited understanding of by saying buyback bad, Anycolor bad, company evil, listen to me good, attempts to subvert your intelligence because Lidia selectively omits and admittingly doesn't understand the subject matter at all. Performing a stock buyback and retiring stock is not uncommon regardless of what industry or country you're looking at. To even further the point, buybacks are not necessarily a desperate bid to do anything or prepare for a potential buyout. Let me ask this, how many of you are watching this on an Apple product? Are they a black company? They bought back billions of dollars worth of stock over the last decade. How about Google? How many of you are using Google or drive a GM branded vehicle? Or for that matter, many phones, PCs, and tablets and network infrastructure use components from Broadcom. Are they a black company? Microsoft, Facebook, Meta now, Comcast, they have all bought back and spent billions of dollars while canceling a lot of those stocks. Shouldn't we boycott and trash talk these companies since they spent billions on buybacks? Now, Lidia does get partial credit for recognizing after being told that canceling shares does reduce the number of authorized shares for the company, which in turn makes the impression that the company is valued more. However, this decision is not just to make a balance sheet look attractive, and it isn't about metrics or financial goals. Investors get nervous when a company holds too many authorized and unsold shares on the market, which contributes to share dilution. Now let's take a look at this. Anycolor likely recognized the potential of stock dilution after they did their 2-for-1 stock split on July 14th, 2023. Now this, combined with the some 3 million shares offered internationally through the secondary exchange, ultimately contributed to the dilution of the stock. Now if you take a look at Nvidia recently did a 10-for-1 stock split. And as you can see from here on the screen, stocks can take months, if not years, before financial strategy, investor accumulation, and the combination of buyback and retiring help balance the stock value. Again, this is not a black company move. In fact, you could consider it a move to safeguard the talent and employees which work for the company. When you have excess amount of stock available on the market for purchase along with a cheap price tag, meaning their stock can be bought at a bargain, an outside party can easily swoop in and buy those stock at a discounted price. In turn, they have a significant stockholder presence, and they gain influence over the decisions and direction of the company. This can be detrimental to the company and the livelihood of its employees. Look what happened when Elon Musk bought Twitter. He took over Twitter by acquiring the available shares in the market at a premium price before completing the deal to acquire Twitter at his offering price of $54 a share to the shareholders, which equated to roughly $44 billion. Elon proved that even with a 9.1% stock ownership, somebody can become a majority stockholder. So let's be honest here. There is likely no immediate panic by Anycolor, despite headlines from people like Lidia saying, "Buyback failed," or "OMG, their stock just tanked." The stock buyback in fact achieved exactly what it was intended for. A stock buyback allows big and small investors alike the ability to cash in on potential gains while avoiding certain fees associated with things like dividends, certain taxes, trading through a stock brokerage, and so on. As Lidia graciously illustrated in her other video, the everyday person is a stockholder as well of Anycolor. This means she's trying to demonize people like you because you choose to invest in a certain company that she hates and lies about. Stock buybacks are a way for a company to give back to the investor that helps them stay in business and make them successful. It's especially important because they provide you an equal or greater value for the stock during the buyback. Buybacks also allow a company to raise funds to pay out to options traders, which seem to be the majority of the Yahoo bulletin board. When looking at this stock buyback, Anycolor is confident enough to cancel these shares while absorbing the cost. This is a $46 million investment into their own company. Their balance sheets show that they have a healthy minus debt growth of 50.5%. That means that what money they did borrow, they paid back extremely quickly, and they do not have to rely solely on loans and debt to support the company. As shown here, Anycolor has reinvested 6 times the amount they spent in 2023 on things like purchase of property, construction of facilities, equipment purchases, and things like office lease spacing. This doesn't include salaries for the workers they hired. Their balance sheet also reflects a healthy expenditure that is spent directly on the talent. And I'm talking merchandise, social media platform fees, and their salaries, which on average is $588,000 a year per liver. This means Anycolor had paid and spent over $93 million in salary and production of their talent in 2023. And FYI, Hololive's Cover Corporation also accounts for the same expenditure on their balance sheet the exact same way. Let that sink in. $93 million on average, $588,000 a year per liver. Some black company compared to CoverCore, isn't it? Many companies aggressively buy back their own stock and then silently reduce their treasury stockpile by releasing them back into the public pool at a substantially higher price. Many companies opt to sell stakes in their own company when they need an infusion of cash, and that's because they have a weak cash flow. None of this is apparent with Anycolor. In fact, Anycolor hasn't really needed to address their stock dilution until recently. Once again, looking at their publicly available financial records, stock dilution didn't have any significant impact on EPS, which is earnings per share, until 2023. The constant hateful and gaslighting content of vtubernews from these types of people is completely shameful and self-absorbed. They are nothing more than needy, attention-seeking hate mongols that rage against Nijisanji because they are obsessed with hating them. They are the very thing they accuse Anycolor of being. They create drama and controversies to get likes, views, subs, donations, and the opportunity to exploit viewers like you into buying their merchandise, or even worse, convince you into buying presents for them off of their throne list. Lidia profits off of you, the audience, by misinforming you and inciting hate while lying through omission. Lying through omission is still lying, regardless of how you cut it. As you can see here, I have properly laid out the entirety of this topic side by side for comparison, provided you with sources that weren't just other people, say on Reddit or some random bulletin board, and then taken it as fact. This is all thoroughly researched information with public sources anybody can access. Check my description below if you want to see the sources. And if you have found this video informative and eye-opening, hit that like button and subscribe. Until the next time, guys, have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it may be for you. This is Marko Yamashita, signing off. Peace.